This show is part of One Place, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Welcome to the Roundup. We are diving into a series of intense legal and community stories today, ranging from heartbreaking betrayals to shocking discoveries in retail stores. Let's get right into the headlines.
A mother vanishes with her newborn in a shocking betrayal.
A school bus aide faces prison for abusing nonverbal students.
An elderly driver avoids prison after killing a young family.
A lawsuit alleges 911 negligence led to a woman's freezing.
A paroled killer is sentenced for a third brutal murder.
A teen allegedly kills his sister's ex-boyfriend in Missouri.
Fentanyl was discovered inside Barbie doll packaging at a store.
A man threw human bones over an FBI office fence.
London police investigate an arson attack on Jewish community ambulances.
A Thanksgiving disappearance reveals a deadly secret love triangle.
Starting with our first story, the disappearance of Heidi Broussard and her 2-week-old daughter Margot in December 2019 remains one of the most chilling cases of betrayal in recent memory. Heidi was last seen dropping her son off at school in Austin, Texas, before vanishing without a trace. When her fiancé, Shane Carey, returned home, he found her car, purse, and even the baby's essential jaundice medication still in the apartment. This immediately signaled to investigators that Heidi hadn't left voluntarily. A mother wouldn't leave her newborn without diapers or food, especially a baby requiring specific medical care for a health condition.
The investigation eventually took a dark turn toward Heidi's inner circle, specifically her best friend. It was revealed that the person Heidi trusted most had been orchestrating a plan to take the baby for herself. This case, recently highlighted on Oxygen's A Plan to Kill, shows how the lack of forced entry at the apartment was a major clue. Heidi likely opened the door for someone she knew and loved. The betrayal is almost impossible to process, as the search for a missing friend turned into the discovery of a calculated months-long plot that ended in a senseless tragedy for the Broussard family.
Next up, in Colorado, a former school bus aide named Kiera Jones has been sentenced to 4.5 years in prison. This follows a series of horrifying incidents where she was caught on camera physically assaulting at least 3 nonverbal students with autism. The abuse came to light after a mother noticed unexplained bruises on her son's foot and insisted on reviewing the bus surveillance footage. What she saw was gut-wrenching. Jones was seen striking the children multiple times. These were students who couldn't speak up for themselves, making the breach of trust by a designated caregiver even more devastating for the families involved.
During the sentencing, the judge described the videos as absolutely horrific to watch. One father, Kevin Yarbrough, gave a powerful statement, noting that he had to be the voice for his son who cannot speak. He expressed the deep frustration of a 2-year delay in the legal process, but felt a sense of relief that accountability was finally being served. Jones pleaded guilty to 10 counts of third-degree felony assault of an at-risk child. While the sentence provides some closure, the emotional scars for these children and their parents, who trusted the school district to keep them safe, will likely last a lifetime.
Now let's shift to a controversial court decision in San Francisco has left a grieving family in shock. Mary Fong Lau, an 80-year-old driver who struck and killed a family of 4 at a bus stop, will not serve any jail time. The victims, Diego Cardoso de Oliveira, Matilde Moncado Ramos Pinto, and their 2 young children were simply waiting for a bus to the zoo to celebrate their anniversary. Lau was driving her Mercedes SUV at 70 miles per hour in a residential neighborhood when she jumped the curb. Despite the catastrophic loss of life, the judge sentenced her to only 2 years of probation and a license suspension.
The judge cited Lau's age, her lack of a prior criminal record, and her expression of remorse as reasons for the lenient sentence. However, the victims' relatives are devastated, arguing that the punishment doesn't match the magnitude of the tragedy. There were also conflicting reports about what caused the crash. Lau initially told witnesses she accidentally hit the gas instead of the brake, but later told police the vehicle malfunctioned. The family's lawyer argued this was a case of gross negligence. For the surviving relatives, the loss of an entire family unit is a life sentence of grief that they feel the court failed to properly acknowledge.
Moving on to, a tragic lawsuit has been filed against the municipality of Anchorage after 31-year-old Alicia Lindsay froze to death in the snow. The complaint alleges that a 911 dispatcher failed to send help for over an hour, despite a resident calling to report that Lindsay was crawling in 3 feet of snow and shaking violently from the cold. The dispatcher reportedly classified the call as a low-priority disturbance rather than a medical emergency, even when the resident called back to emphasize that Lindsay was overwhelmed by the freezing temperatures. The dispatcher allegedly stayed on the line for less than a minute before putting the call on a hold status.
By the time police finally arrived, 80 minutes had passed since the initial call. It took the responding officer only 8 minutes to realize Lindsay was in desperate need of an ambulance. But by then, it was too late. The lawsuit claims the dispatcher's failure to recognize clear signs of hypothermia led directly to her death. This case highlights a terrifying breakdown in emergency services, where a citizen did the right thing by calling for help, but the system meant to protect the vulnerable failed to act. Lindsay's family is now seeking justice for what they describe as gross negligence and emotional distress.
Next, we look at Daryl Lamar Collins, a 55-year-old man from California, has been sentenced to life in prison for the murder of his girlfriend, Fatima Johnson. This case is particularly harrowing because Collins had been released from prison just 1 year prior after serving time for 2 other murders committed in the 90s. He was originally sentenced to 50 years, but a change in California law regarding youthful offender parole allowed him to walk free early. Johnson, a beloved grandmother and nursing home worker, was found bound and strangled in her home. Collins then stole her car and jewelry to fund a drug habit, showing a complete lack of remorse.
The district attorney, Nathan Hochman, called Collins a sociopath and stated that he should never have been released in the first place. The 2017 law change that raised the age for youthful offender parole from 23 to 25 is what allowed Collins to qualify for early release, as he was 24 during his first 2 murders. Those initial killings were described as random acts of violence against strangers. Now, 3 families are left mourning because a violent offender was given a second chance he clearly didn't deserve. This life sentence ensures he will never have the opportunity to harm anyone in the community ever again.
Now to Missouri. In Kansas City, 19-year-old Kaymonte Phillips is facing second-degree murder charges after a relationship dispute turned deadly. Police say Phillips targeted his sister's ex-boyfriend after their breakup went sour. The victim was walking with his mother when Phillips allegedly approached them with an automatic rifle equipped with a red laser. In a final act of heroism, the victim shielded his mother from the hail of bullets as Phillips opened fire. The mother, who survived the attack, had to perform CPR on her son while neighbors watched in horror. Investigators found at least 35 shell casings at the scene, indicating the sheer violence of the confrontation.
The victim had apparently told his mother he felt he was being followed just moments before the shooting. He even had a rifle of his own tucked into his pants for protection, but he was unable to defend himself against the sudden ambush. Surveillance footage and dashcam video captured the entire incident, including Phillips getting out of a sedan to confront the pair. This tragedy underscores the escalating violence often associated with domestic disputes and the devastating impact on families. A mother had to witness her son's murder while he was trying to save her life, leaving a community in shock over the senselessness of the act.
Then there's this. Police in Independence, Missouri, issued a startling warning after fentanyl was discovered inside Barbie doll packaging at a local discount store called Cargo Largo. Security at the store contacted authorities after finding a suspicious white powder inside one of the boxes. Tests quickly confirmed the substance was indeed fentanyl, a highly potent and dangerous synthetic opioid. This discovery prompted an immediate investigation to determine how the drugs ended up in a toy meant for children. It's a terrifying scenario for any parent, as the mere contact with such a substance can be lethal, especially for a small child who might be playing with a new toy.
Fortunately, the police were able to act quickly. They determined that 5 contaminated Barbie packages had already been sold to customers. Within hours, investigators managed to track down and recover all 5 units. The Independence Police Department stated that there is currently no evidence to suggest that other retailers received compromised toys, and, thankfully, No injuries have been reported so far. The investigation is still ongoing to find the source of the contamination. This incident serves as a grim reminder of the reach of the fentanyl crisis and the importance of retail security in preventing such dangerous items from reaching the hands of the public.
Next up, a bizarre and disturbing incident unfolded at the FBI field office in Dallas, where a man named Michael Chadwick Fry allegedly threw a bucket of human bones over the security fence. Fry didn't just commit the act, he filmed it and posted the video to YouTube on a channel he called Fry and Berto News. In the video, he claimed he was trying to summon federal agents to force them to investigate what he called the deaths of his family and friends. Before the stunt, Fry's mother had called the police because he showed up at her house asking for money for a U-Haul to move a body.
The investigation revealed that Fry had allegedly stolen an urn of ashes and other remains from a cemetery in Oklahoma City. In his YouTube video, he is seen talking to a staff member at the FBI office, appearing dissatisfied with being told to submit tips online. He then retrieved the bucket from his trunk and hurled it over the fence, promising his viewers that more videos were coming. Fry now faces multiple charges, including abuse of a corpse and tampering with evidence. It is a strange case of someone using social media to document their own crimes, while suffering from what appears to be a severe delusion.
Now let's discuss, in London, an arson attack on 4 ambulances belonging to a Jewish community medical service is being investigated as an anti-Semitic hate crime. The vehicles, operated by the charity Hatzolah, were set on fire in the Golders Green neighborhood during the early hours of Monday morning. The explosions from the oxygen cylinders on the ambulances were so powerful they shattered windows in nearby apartment buildings. Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Mayor Sadiq Khan have both condemned the attack, calling it a cowardly act of hatred against the Jewish community. Hatzolah has provided free emergency medical transport in North London since 1979, making this attack particularly cruel.
Mark Gardner of the Community Security Trust emphasized that this wasn't just an attack on the Jewish community, but an attack on British society as a whole. The London Fire Brigade sent 40 firefighters to the scene to contain the blaze, and fortunately, no injuries were reported. However, the loss of 4 emergency vehicles significantly impacts the charity's ability to serve those in need. Police have stepped up patrols in the area to provide reassurance to residents. This incident has sparked a wave of solidarity, with leaders across the political spectrum calling for unity against anti-Semitism and urging anyone with information to come forward immediately.
Finally, a cold case from Thanksgiving 1995 was recently revisited, uncovering a web of lies in Schenectady, New York. Paul Lacey was reported missing by his wife Stella on Thanksgiving morning. She claimed he had been in the kitchen the night before, but never came to bed. A few days later, Paul's body was found in his car, strangled with a rope. While it initially looked like a botched robbery, because his wallet and rings were missing, the method of death suggested something much more personal. Investigators soon discovered that Stella's story was full of holes, and a cousin living with them, Ron Faulkner, was deeply involved in the family's secrets.
The breakthrough in the case came from an unlikely source, a salami sandwich. Clues found at the scene and within the family's own home eventually exposed a deadly love triangle between Stella and Ron. The two had been carrying on an affair and conspired to kill Paul to be together and perhaps escape their mounting financial debts. This betrayal of a man who was described as being entirely devoted to his family is a haunting reminder of how domestic secrets can turn fatal. The case, featured on Oxygen Snapped, shows that even decades later, the truth has a way of coming out, providing some justice for Paul Lacey's memory.
That wraps up our briefing for today. Thank you for joining us for this roundup of the latest stories. We'll be back tomorrow with more updates. Have a safe day.